Oops. Wait for a couple people to hop on here. I know there were people anxiously waiting today. Can't wait to hear from you guys, and that's awesome. I love it. And slow trickle coming in. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining. We're really happy you could be here today. I am so excited to be sitting here with the Canadian frontline nurses, two that you know 100% out there. Sarah is here and Kristen is here, but we also have a few new faces that is so exciting for me to see personally, because you guys just keep adding to the list of heroes in my book. So I want to thank you for being here. You are superheroes. I love the fact that your moral compass shines through, and doing the right thing is incredibly important to you. And I mean, I want to cry when I say it. So thank you, thank you, thank you, ladies. Let's get going. So for everyone out there watching, Canadian Frontline Nurses is up and running here today. I'm going to get the website going so you guys can see that. And let's start with introductions. How about we start with Jess? How are you doing, Jess?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Do you want to tell everybody a bit about yourself?
Yes. So I've been a nurse since last May 2020, so it hasn't been a very long time. I work basically in the overflow of the emergency department. So basically we take in patients that are going to be hospitalized for a few days or are just waiting to be transferred to other departments. And that's it. So we have like a green zone and a yellow zone. The green zone is COVID-free. The yellow zone is patients who have COVID-like symptoms and are waiting for COVID results before they can be transferred either to the zone if they tested positive, or they can be transferred to the green zone if they're negative.
Uh-oh. Did we lose her? There she is. There she is. Awesome. And Kristen, do you want to?
Yeah. Well, I think, like you said, I think most people know Sarah and I, but for those maybe, are new, I'm Kristen Nagel. I've been a nurse for 14 years, primarily in the neonatal intensive care unit. I'm also a registered holistic nutritionist, so I understand both the allopathic and conventional side of medicine as well as the holistic side of it. And that's what really has opened my eyes to a lot of the care and practices that I was seeing within the hospital that I've been trying to bring light to and to educate about, empowering people to take responsibility of their health and more natural ways to healing and well-being. So when this all started, I've been kind of, screaming from the rooftops about the propaganda and the marketing and what it was all about, which led me to being suspended and then terminated. But from that has led me to connecting to all these amazing women and founding Canadian Frontline Nurses, so we can continue to educate and bring awareness and hold the lamp, so we can be the light in this darkness. Mm-hmm.
Amen. And thank you for that. Crystal.
Yes, thanks for having me. It's exciting to be here with all of you, and I feel so honored and privileged to be a part of this amazing, amazing group. So my name is Crystal Pitter, and I'm a nurse practitioner. I have been a nurse for 24 years, and with a varied background, including infectious disease. So what I will tell you is that at the onset of this, I pretty much knew right from the get-go that things were amiss, and spoke up very boldly and courageously on Facebook, and then basically was attacked viciously. There were defamatory articles published about me by the media, which led to, investigation by both my employer and then also the College of Nurses, and ultimately the loss of my position. And so I, like Kristen, am trying very, very hard to shout from the rooftops the truth about what's going on. Everyone has the right to informed decision-making, informed consent. And unfortunately, the lies that are being propagated right now are preventing people from being able to see the truth. So I will do what's right, no matter what the cost is to myself. And I just have a very strong moral compass and refuse to, no matter what men may try to do to me, to be silenced, essentially. And I am a member of the Canadian Frontline Nurses with Kristen and with Sarah.
Awesome, awesome. And for those of you that don't know, Crystal was the very first nurse that got ostracized for even making a comment. And it was just a off-the-cuff comment on your Facebook, because I remember that happening way at the beginning almost. Or maybe it was last summer. I can't even remember. Every day kind of winds into one now. But yeah.
It was last summer. Yeah, it was July of last summer.
Yeah, and then I think Kristen and I met in the fall. So yeah, you were the first one I had heard of. So
I knew I was one of the first. I didn't know I was the first. But you know what? When you know the truth and my conscience, I cannot violate my conscience. You just have to speak up. You have to do what's right. And I had been posting truth for as long as I can remember, even before this whole situation ensued. So
yeah. Well, we're happy to have you. You're
I'm happy to be here.
Powerful light, and I can't thank you enough. And then another light we have down here is Sarah.
Hey, everybody. My name is Sarah. I've been a nurse since 2004, and I worked in a nursing home for most of my career. So for me, it was more like, it's really obvious when you work in a nursing home that the government doesn't care about these residents. And so when they said that they were shutting down the entire economy for these vulnerable people, big red flag. And I've had fibromyalgia, and, I realized that the medical system, there's a lot of things that they don't know, they try to medicate people without really going to the root cause. And so I literally cured myself from fibromyalgia by detoxifying and all natural causes and working out and eating well and, not taking the medications they gave me, because, you just become tolerant and sicker. And so fibromyalgia is known to be a long-term disability, and I don't have it anymore. So it kind of made me doubt the industry a little bit. That was like back in 2018. And so when all this happened, I was really triggered, I would say. And I stayed quiet at first, but during the second lockdowns, there was an outbreak inside my nursing home, and no one had symptoms. And I could see my residents really deteriorating from the isolation, and how unfair it was that the families can come in, and how detrimental it was, and how we were being tested and the tests are inaccurate. And it was just like a vicious cycle. And so I decided to speak out. I just went online at first. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong, and wrote in a private group, and someone took a picture, called my employee, and I was investigated right away. I was actually chief steward of the union when I got fired. And so obviously the unions are not backing us up. So yeah, and I started speaking out while they were investigating. I had already decided that was it for me. And so they fired me 3 days after I spoke out the first time. And then joined with Kristen. We went to Washington, and then when we came back, we were really defamed. That was a really bad one. That was kind of scary nationally in Canada and in the US. And we even had the RCMPs come knock at our door. And then so that was, we got fired, and now we're under investigation. But we're so happy because we have the Canadian Frontline Nurses, organization that we're building. And, we do not want to be a part of this industry anymore. We want to build a new one built on preventative care, natural healing, and, treating the person as a whole. Like, the physical part of our body is not the only thing. Mm-hmm. And, I learned very, very well that if you're not well mentally, which you cannot be in this system and this society, you cannot be well physically. So we want to change the system and bring a whole new one that's going to be amazing.
Take it back to its roots, my friend. Take it back to its roots. Right?
Exactly.
Break the old and start new. Good for you. Good for you. And we have another new face, Miss Nordia. Welcome, welcome.
Hello. So much. So honored to be amongst all these wonderful women. They're so my name is Nordia, and so I am a registered nurse. I've been a registered nurse for 4 years, so not long ago. I mostly work in losing my words here, in pediatric care, one-on-one with one patient. So I was working at the beginning of all of this in the hospital and also in long-term care. So I didn't really see much of what was going on because I wasn't in like a red or yellow zone. It was all green zone, no cases. And then I kind of got fed up of all of this. I wasn't able to speak my truth or speak up. So I decided to just remove myself completely from the hospital and long-term care setting. Even especially the fact that I couldn't take seeing what I was seeing, right? The testing, and I know everything behind the testing and the vaccine that was potentially going to be rolled out and all of that. And it's funny because in these settings, I would question my colleagues. I'll be like, okay, do you think this and that? Just asking basic questions. And a lot of them actually, the light bulb went off, right? But they just decided to just go with it, like the testing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and test myself every week and all that. I'm like, okay, fine. It's all good. So I was very, very vocal on my social platform, which is Facebook. So at the ending of March, of course, like everyone else, in the beginning of March, we didn't know what it was. Oh my God, virus, we're all freaking out because you didn't know what it was. But then after I saw something wasn't adding up, so I decided to post a lot of truthful information without giving my opinion, right? All scientific literature and a lot of doctors, immunologists and all that. And so I was posting so much, it was consuming a lot of my time and energy, and I kind of saw what was coming. So I decided to close my Facebook in June and just focus more on me and all of that. And all of a sudden, the ending of the summer, I get a call from my college. Surprise, surprise, someone made a complaint. So yeah, they told me I couldn't post anymore and all that. So either way, my Facebook was shut down in June. And yeah, until I met these wonderful ladies, I think it was December, January. So excited because I didn't feel alone. And I am studying just like Kristen. Well, Kristen, she completed her studies, but I'm studying integrative health and functional medicine. So I've been like self-teaching for the last 2 years, let's say. But then I enrolled in like school. So I'm learning the holistic approach and the root cause of.
That is exciting. That is so exciting. Congratulations on taking that step. I look at all of you and my heart is filled with so much hope. Go forward, because I know we're going to beat this regardless. And just, the clarity you guys see the future and how you see the future, it blows me away. Like I've always seen it. I just know. I don't know how I know. I just know a lot of things that I probably shouldn't know. But you guys are the personification of it, and I'm just so excited for what's coming. So sorry to take away from all that, but Desiree, nice to meet you. Welcome.
Hello, it's nice to meet you as well and to see all your faces. So I haven't been a nurse very long either. I became registered in July of last year. Before that, though, I have a long history in healthcare. I worked as a PSW in home care for a long time and privately. So last year before working in the hospital, I briefly worked in a long-term care home setting. And I quickly realized that was not the environment for me. It was pretty sad the way it was, just the things I seen and just the staff to resident ratios. So I ended up working in home care for a little bit before getting what I thought was my dream job. I wanted to be in the hospital. And then quickly I realized that it wasn't feeling the way it used to when I was going to placements. I used to really enjoy going and learning and taking care of my patients. And now I just felt like I had to go in and just kind of keep my mouth shut. I couldn't say anything about how I felt regarding the safety of these jabs and other things. And so it's taken its toll on me. I've taken quite a bit of time off work before recently taking a leave of absence because it's just really difficult for me when I have patients asking me if I think the symptoms they're having are related to, their jab and things. And I have to just say, well, I can just, let the doctor know that you'd like to talk about that. So I have taken a step away. I was very quiet about my opinions for a long time because last year I had shared a post on my Facebook. And it was just an article. I didn't even say anything about anything, no opinions. It was just an article about a doctor who had passed away within a couple weeks of his job. And I had a nurse on my Facebook send me a message and say, hey, you might want to be careful. And she sent me the link to our college stating that we aren't allowed to be posting or publicly voicing our opinions to the contrary of what public health says. So I did take that down. And then just more recently, when it's become like I felt really pressured from my work, they're actually making us do a learning module if we don't want to take the jab. And then at the end of it, they are trying to convince you and make you feel guilty about not getting it. And so that's when I sort of realized, you know what, this really needs to be voiced and my voice matters because there aren't enough of us talking about it. And I can't go to work feeling sick to my stomach and just being on that side of things. So today I got the call from work. They've seen and heard about my posts. They've blocked me from being in my emails and stuff. So I guess I'm headed down that path, and I guess we'll see where it goes. But I do, I've been learning a lot about like the holistic side of things. And I definitely want to start getting away from all the medical side of nursing. And I really want to start looking at our body as a whole as well, like some of you have said. So that's sort of where I think my path is headed now. And I've realized that through all of this. So
amazing. And you know what? I'm going to tell you this, and because I get messages constantly all day, and I know you guys do too, but the majority are on our side. They're humoring the garbage that's coming out, but they're watching nurses like you, because with whatever comes out of this, the trust is going where you guys go. So instead of going to, the hospital or what allopathic, old school, whatever that system is and how it's crumbling, people would still rather find their truth and their strength in women like you who stand up for your oath and do the right thing and live with actual morals and character and just to do the right thing, regardless of the circumstance. You're not being a coward hiding behind the censorship that they're causing other people. You stood up, and that takes lady balls. And I am so proud of each and every one of you. So let's dive in. What should we cover first, ladies? Because I know there's a whole heap of stuff here that is just insanity right now. But I know, let's start with what's happening in the ICUs.
I'll start just because I can share the information that's come up in our call. So I don't know if people are aware, but we, through Canadian Frontline Nurses, we host calls, and we are connected to hundreds of nurses across Canada. And, a lot of them are in the ICUs in major cities. So we do get firsthand experiences of what's happening. And some of them are getting busy. But they are seeing correlation to these injections, which have been really interesting that they've been noticing. One of the things they find interesting is that that's never asked. And we know this from working years in healthcare, when someone comes in and they never want to link it together. So it's not a question like, oh, have you received, this injection? Like, they don't want to know. They don't want to put any correlation together, but nurses are asking. And because they want to know what's happening. So they're seeing an increase in younger patients that have, received these injections, but also we had a call with Dr. Tenpenny last night, and she explained this transmission that's happening. So not so much a shedding, but a transmission from the injected to the non, and that is causing some issues. So there's some interesting things happening. There's also optics happening, where some of the major hospitals are transferring patients out and filling up a lot of the other cities and a lot of the other surrounding hospitals to make room for the third wave. So it's to make room, like they're just trying to get patients out and filling up, hospitals all over. So it's tying up EMS, it's tying up Orange, it's tying up all these other services if they're actually needed, they're busy transferring hospitals out just for optics, just for the modeling, just for the in case. So that's also happening a lot. A lot of the hospitals where I'm in London are full of patients from other cities, not even, from our own town. And we have 2 major hospitals here. So that's kind of interesting, I thought. But yeah, I don't know, Jess, Desiree, you guys work kind of like, you see everything ER. So I don't know if you want to touch on that as well or add anything to it.
So I
Sorry, there was a bit of a delay.
Oh, sorry. Oh, wait. Oh, I didn't realize. Mine delayed too.
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, I was just gonna say, I'm a float pool nurse. I don't know if I said that before. So yeah, I have worked on the C units, as well as medicine, surgery. So mostly what I see, even on the C unit, is a lot of elderly, and then I had one patient that was young. She was in her 30s and she had come from the ICU. She was on a high flow oxygen. And when we received her on our C unit, she was doing a lot better. Her SATs were up. She was up in right around 90%. She had COPD, so that was perfect for her. She also had diabetes. She was obese and she was doing very well. Aside from her, I only saw elderly patients that were stable. And we only, on that unit, each nurse had about 3 to 4 patients, and we had quite a bit of empty beds because they were all isolated. So we had, less patients, but that was it. It's actually one of the quieter units because we don't have as many patients. So I'm not seeing these large waves or overflows that we're being told about.
Yeah. Jess, did you want to add anything?
Yeah. So I didn't get to work in the ICU. You need a special orientation for that department. But I did speak to 2 nurses from my hospital who worked in the red zone. So they weren't necessarily in the ICU, but there is a department reserved for COVID positive patients. And one of them, it was a pretty stable department, the one that she was in for COVID positive. There was a lot of elderly. She told me that they're all pretty stable and they're all they're waiting for like the patients to get over the virus so that they can be transferred back to their long-term care home. So then I thought, I was like, okay, well, why is everybody making such a big deal? And then I spoke to this other nurse who worked really intensively with the COVID patients. And she told me that there was a lot of negligence on the part of the orderlies and the nurses and the doctors. So the doctors were prescribing a protocol of respiratory distress, which means that there's this protocol has 3 medications. One of them is a sedative, the other one is a painkiller, and the other one is a anticholinergic. So with the combination of these 3 medications, it's basically prescribed usually for patients that are end of life care. So if they have like a couple of days to live and we want them to, I guess, pass comfortably. So she told me that the doctors were prescribing these protocols when it wasn't even needed, and the nurses were applying it when it wasn't even needed. And the orderlies were not going in to feed the patients, to give them enough water. So and the majority of them were older. So they were slowly dying, I guess, of denutrition, dehydration. And on top of it all, they were receiving the respiratory distress protocol when it wasn't even necessary. So alarms went off in my head when I heard this, because I haven't had the chance to work in the red zone yet. I'm hoping I will. I mean, I know a lot of the nurses have left, and I totally understand why. I've reached a few times. It's reached into my head a few times where I was like, maybe I should just leave because this is going against my ethics. But a part of me wants to stay just to be able to see what's truly really going on, because I've noticed what's been said in the mainstream media. It's not true. The ICUs are not overwhelmed. And if they are overwhelmed, it's overwhelmed with a bit of everything, like it's always been. And just up until recently, I spoke with the coordinator of the hospital. And so he like parades around the entire hospital to check up on us. And I had asked him a couple of weeks ago, and I said, how many patients are there? How many COVID patients are there in the entire hospital? And he said 23. And our hospital is pretty big. So I was like, 23 patients for a really big hospital? Like, we have way more patients with cardiac issues and liver issues and drinking problems. Like, we have just as many patients with so many diseases, and we're in a pandemic for 23 COVID patients. Like, it was a bit off for me. So alarms were definitely going off in my head.
Wow.
I was going to add, I think that's an important thing that we forgot to mention too, that the nurses have been telling us that we've been over a year with people wearing masks, living in fear. I know that drinking has gone up. The gyms are not being utilized because they've been closed. Like, all health has gone out the window. Stress is to the max, and that like physically like affects the body so much. So we're also seeing a lot of that happening, right? Like, there is bacterial pneumonia cases happening. So patients are going into the hospital with pneumonia. Bacterial pneumonia is caused, from mask wearing. So we're seeing a lot of things like that. And it's been a year of pushback, like postponed appointments, surgeries, cancer screening, a bunch of that stuff. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that we have put on hold for the past year that are catching up as well. And so there's so much to consider that's happening. Mental health that Sarah touches on, the suicides, like there's a lot happening within the hospitals that we seem to just focus on this one blip that is a tiny piece of the entire equation. And yeah, the ICUs, they go through ebbs and flows. I've talked about this before, that hallway medicine is not new. Nurses, we've always been understaffed, underfunded, underappreciated. Like, we're always trying to get overtime. So none of this is new. They're just changing the narrative. And the ICUs that are, busy, it's not like, it's still manageable. It's still something that they are trained and able to manage, is what we're hearing from even Toronto and places like that, like the major cities. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add. Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. No, just talking about the ICU capacities and stuff. That's one of the things I got in trouble for, was sharing that across our 5 hospitals, we have 18 in critical care and 31 in medicine across 5 hospitals of COVID patients. And that was one of the things I got in trouble for sharing today.
And they're not quick to correct any of that, right? Like, they're just going to let that misconception of it all being COVID ride.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
create fear within the community, and everybody turns on each other. And still people don't see this. Like, other deaths have not gone away. The flu did not go away. None of it's gone away. It's not all COVID, but you're being told it's all COVID. Put the pieces together, people, for real. Like, your fear is suffocating your thought patterns. Like, you have to wake up to this. You have to, or there's going to be nothing left of this country by the time this is done. Sorry, Jess, I know you wanted to say something. That's my rant.
Oh, it's okay. That's okay. I wanted to add on to Kristen's point, because so about the whole bacterial pneumonias. I had one patient come in with a bacterial pneumonia, and she was in her 20s. She was an orderly working at my hospital, and she was hospitalized on my department. And she got tested 11 times in 14 days for COVID. The emergency doctors are working with tunnel vision. So I get the medical files directly from the emergency, so I can see exactly where they're headed. And a lot of them will write pneumonia versus COVID, but COVID most likely. And in my head, I'm like, they both have practically the same symptoms. Why is it COVID most likely? So how it works at the hospital is patients come in through the emergency, and they're forced to get tested for COVID. And usually they get one test, and if it's negative, then they get transferred usually into my department. And so when she told me that, I was like, you went ahead and you tested yourself? And she said, yeah. She goes, they didn't give me a choice. So she had to go out of her way to get tested 11 times in 14 days. All of them were negative. I had another 2 patients come in because they had lung issues, because they were disinfecting their house from ceiling to floor with cleaning products, because the mainstream media scares you, right? So much that like the virus is everywhere. If you bring in your groceries, you need to wash everything. So they came in with lung problems because of the cleaning products that they were using. I think they were like bleaching the entire house. So just to let you know, like at what point everyone is just so focused on this COVID thing. And to your comment about the flu, Amanda, I've seen 3 tests. I started working at the hospital in August. I've seen 3 flu tests since I've been working there. They're only testing for COVID. They're not even testing for the flu. So when they say that the flu doesn't exist anymore, it's a lie, because they're not even testing for it. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Awesome. Anybody else have anything to add on that?
Well, just because you mentioned everybody was like cleaning their groceries and their house down, and it's so funny because a virus is not a living thing; it's dead. So a lot of people talk about Lysol. Like, what are you guys talking about? What's not their fault? Right? A lot of people don't know or they're unaware, so you can't blame them. But when you have these doctors that are trained that should know these basic things, you can see that like I think it was Jessica says, they're just seeing things with the tunnel vision. They're just going along with the script. We're all going along with the script. Well, not us, but just generally speaking. And just the basic critical thinking has gone out the window.
That's so disturbing, because that goes against everything they signed up for.
Yeah.
Everything they signed up for. They signed up to take care of the people, not the government's wallet. Right? And it's done a complete 180. And that's what I said. You guys are going to be paving the way for something so much bigger. So whatever bad comes out of this for any of you, I hope you realize like how much good will be coming back on you tenfold. Tenfold. Like I can promise you that. The murmurs are in the air now as we speak. Like it's going to be something phenomenal. You know, let's talk about young people, like young people in the hospital. Are you seeing an increase in this type of thing, like mental illness or mask related or anything? Like, has there been an increase in what you see there?
I just gonna jump in here. The younger people that I've seen coming into the hospital, a lot of the times they are having health issues that, like, had they have come in sooner, like wouldn't have been a big thing. I actually, this is a pretty sad story, but I had a young patient come in her 30s, and she had flesh-eating disease, and it had been over a month. And by the time she came in, it was so progressed that she lost her leg, and she had so many other health issues, they didn't think she was going to make it. And she was so scared to come in because of COVID. And now this is her life because of this. And it could have been easily treated if she had have thought to go in, because the hospitals are where you go to, you know, when you have an emergency and you need to be looked at. But now people are so scared to go in. And I have seen people coming in with liver disease because, of course, you know, drinking's gone up. I've seen just a lot of everything else and very little of the COVID. So it's very sad.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
And I can't speak to what's going on personally because, of course, I'm not working in that environment. I'm not working at all in the nursing realm. But we know that, as you said, Amanda, there's going to be great things on the horizon for those of us that are standing up and speaking out. But certainly we all hear the stories, right? And we see the stories as well in terms of people that are, you know, the collateral damage is far worse than the virus itself. We've heard countless stories of, you know, men in their 30s that were supposed to have cardiac surgery, and then their surgery was either delayed or canceled. And as a result, they passed away and left behind 2 young kids without a father. And stories about how, you know, individuals who have concerns aren't going in to be assessed, by their doctor or at the hospital because, as Desiree just said, there's that intense fear about what they could potentially contract if they don't go. And then you end up with situations where people are being diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And it could have been, diagnosed much sooner. So the collateral damage here is being completely ignored. And as was already spoken to, there's this myopic focus, this tunnel vision myopic focus on COVID, and nothing else. And everything else just doesn't matter. It's mind-boggling, and it's just so upsetting.
Do you guys think it's intentional? Like, do you think that is an intentional thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Why do you?
I think we know that it's being used as the Trojan horse, right? So we can ignore everything else that's going on around it. So, and I wanted to touch on just like the young kids, because I know there was an incredibly sad story that came out of Brampton with a 12-year-old girl, and that story got totally misconstrued. Again, they're trying to pin young people in the media right now because that's the next push for these injections. Right? Like they keep lowering the age for those to go get injected, to get this experimental gene therapy. And so they need that fear put in place to,
100%, Kristen. Because remember last March when they rushed Bill 118 through, and it was like 3 days after the shutdown. And the people with that vaccine injured children already knew exactly what this is about, because we've been fighting the school systems for years. So we knew the vaccine was coming out. We knew all about that. And Bill 118 there were 3 readings in the Royal Assent all in one day to push for this. So a year later, fast forward a year later, and now they're gunning for the teachers. First and foremost, teachers need to get this vaccine. Yeah. You'll be shamed and whatever else if you do not. Do not think that this online learning for another year threat doesn't have anything to do with pushing you to get your child vaccinated with the COVID vaccine. And I'm going to tell you another thing. This bloody vaccine is still in trials till 2023. Correct me if I'm wrong, ladies.
I think it's 2024, I just heard.
Y'all are a guinea pig. Like, I don't understand what people aren't getting about this. There's no science. You are the science. They're watching you. Of course, they're saying there's science because it's from yesterday, but you're the science today. Wake the hell up. Sorry, Kristen, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. It's a perfect rant because that is what's happening. And we're like, I'm connected to teachers, and we're hearing all these stories, and the teacher unions are really pushing this. Like, I got so mad the other day when I was in my car listening to the radio, and they're like, Ford from the Ontario government is saying that the schools are safe, but that is simply not true. There are 1 in 4, there are outbreaks. Teachers are the frontline workers. They all need to be injected. And we know that whenever there's a fear story that the media puts out, it's all, clickbait. It's to promote that fear in us, to be like, oh my gosh, now we're at risk. Like, we need to be the next ones to go get this injection, because before this started, we were saying, the kids are not at risk. The kids are safe. So now they needed to come in and have these incredibly sad stories to be like, actually, wait, maybe we're wrong. The kids are not safe. This new variant, these new variants from around the globe are the ones infecting the kids now. The original one was fine, but these new variants are the ones we need to be worried about, because come September, that is going to be absolutely where this is heading. Teachers going to need to be injected. The kids need to be injected, and they're making the students decide now, like the parents and the students decide now, like, are you going to be in the online learning, or are you going to be in school? And I know that they're going to trap people because there's no going back and forth. So if you're in the school program, then they're going to announce that you're going to have this mandatory injection. And we're seeing that they're testing on babies, and they're getting out there that push for pregnant women. Now there's this fear of, all these pregnant women are ending up in these ventilators. Like, it is just the most fear-mongering campaign. It's a marketing campaign, and it is incredibly unethical. It's just, you're never supposed to market medicine, especially as healthcare providers. And I wanted to bring back to that young girl that is devastating, because this is how they twist the storylines. So this poor girl in Brampton, 12 years old, it was on the news, passed away. But the story was, and it's actually in the mainstream media, if you read it and pick out the important lines, they were terrified. They were terrified, the family, of what was happening with this whole, whatever you want to call it. And they never left. The dad was the only one that left their home because he was the breadwinner. He was the only one that went outside. So that they're following the rules. They're doing the mask thing. They're sanitizing. They're doing all the things. And she got really sick. But he was scared to bring her to the hospital for fear, because of what the media has been telling us, that she might be transferred to another town. And he didn't want his daughter to be away and out of the city, away from them. And so he kept her home. And then it was too late. She ended up going into severe respiratory distress, and then ended up with bacterial pneumonia. They also tried to treat her at home, and this is reported, with hot dogs, her favorite foods, hot dogs, pasta, things like that. Brought her in for bacterial pneumonia. And you have to watch the way they word things. So, passed away with COVID, not of. And bacterial pneumonia is not COVID. So they just are really trying to twist these stories along. And there's always a backstory. There's always something else going on. And the story should never be taken at face value. They're just there to put in that fear so we can be the next, marketing push for the next wave of people to go get this experimental biologic gene therapy. And anyways, that's also my rant on that.
It's so sad. It's so sad. And then even like when we were talking about transmission, and you see those sad stories where you have like the mom who's breastfeeding these children, and then you've got these children passing away, but it's a coincidence. Really? Where have we seen that anywhere before? We haven't. It's transmitting. What did Nicole and I say? It's sloughing. We're calling it sloughing. We don't get and God forbid, because it's just awful. And you're coming down with those rashes and everything else. And this is through breast milk. So that's terrifying. If it's coming out of breast milk, people, it's transmitting off of recently vaccinated. So what would you guys say would be a good amount of time to kind of stay away to avoid that type of thing? Would you know?
I was going to say, Dr. Tenpenny said that the way these spike proteins work is that they're like in you forever. So I don't know. Sorry, I got someone off. Go ahead.
No, Sarah? Crystal, did you have anything to say?
Just that there's really no way of knowing, because we're in, unknown territory at this point. And like Kristen just said, Dr. Tenpenny said, these are going to be around probably forever in someone's body. So we're just taking it one day at a time and seeing what happens, what unfolds.
Yeah. Yeah. And a mask won't save people from this either. So if you're thinking, you're just going to walk around with a mask on around your vaccinated friends and family members, it's the same as walking around with one with COVID. It's going right through, friends. 1, 2, or 3 layered. It doesn't matter. So awesome. Let's see what do we've got here.
I think Desiree wants to add something.
I just wanted to add something. Yeah. I'm cutting everybody off. No, just with the pregnant women and the breastfeeding women, it took me a little while, but I did go through that big, long 100 and something page Pfizer document, just looking and just kind of researching a bit. And I did see in there that they do specifically say that pregnant women should receive a negative pregnancy test immediately before receiving their jab. And then it goes on and it talks about the adverse effects that would be reported, including a spontaneous abortion. So I thought that was interesting that that's in there, but doctors everywhere, well, not doctors everywhere, but a lot of them are telling pregnant women that this is safe and encouraging them to get it, when something like that is stated very obviously in the document if you just look.
Wow. I don't even have any words for that. It just breaks my heart. People just go with it. They just go with it. Oh, gosh. Kristen, I know I wanted to talk about, and I think we did briefly, but transfers of specialties.
Oh yeah, I mentioned this because I've been getting like nurses contact me that are terrified right now. So NICU nurses, which I was, so baby nurses, are being transferred into long-term, or sorry, ICU. So picture baby nurses being transferred into ICU nurses or ICU places like adults, babies, adults. It doesn't, you can't do that. Like I went in to work with babies for a reason because I didn't want to go near adults. Like the vital signs, the care, the just everything is completely different. Like I was saying, you know, when a baby, if their heart rate goes to 60, like you start compressions, like, and so and just even everything is different. So these nurses are terrified to go to work with in this unit. They're on stress leaves. That's also what's happening is these nurses, a lot are on, are burning out. They're stressed because of everything that's going on. So they're on leaves. So again, more nursing shortages, which is an ongoing problem. It has been since I started nursing. But yeah, so they're being transferred into units that they're not trained for. This also takes time away from the nurses that are trained in there because now they have to tell them what to do. They don't know where anything is. They don't know what to do. So now you're basically training someone that's there to help, and you're taking away a capable, able-bodied nurse away from, you know, the intensive care patients to train someone that's there to help. And it's just a mess. So these nurses are having an incredibly hard time on both fronts. The ICU nurses that are trained in that area are having a hard time with it. The, you know, baby nurses that are going down there terrified, and then they're leaving the babies understaffed. So it's creating this whole domino effect because now in the NICU unit with the babies, they're understaffed. They're writing out unsafe workload forms because the babies are not being properly cared for because they're transferring people down. And it's a huge mess that is happening. And they're trying to do this thing in the ICUs. It's called team nursing, where you work as a team. So like someone hands out meds, someone does charting, someone does this. And that happening right now in London, Ontario, is a complete disaster. So many things are being missed. There's not proper care being done. You're not getting that like one-on-one attention with your patient. So these are all ways that they're trying to save money, make cutbacks. Cutbacks has always been a thing since I started nursing. How can we save money? How can we cut nurses? How can we get around all this and not have to pay? So these issues that we're seeing in the hospital has been ongoing forever. And right now, Rona has just enhanced it, like amplified it and brought it to people's attentions. But none of this is new. Mm-hmm.
What about you're seeing a big shift coming out of the midwives too, right? Like what's happening there? Why are they pushing this experimental quack scene? Mm-hmm. That's sick.
I think I saw there was like, what was that, months ago? Like the Canadian government was saying they were giving out grants to, wasn't it up to like $50,000 or something? Did anyone else? Yeah, $50,000 to these organizations to promote this injection.
Yeah. That's so sad. Well, let's get on to our favorite topic. Let's talk about the college and silencing. This is where we're going to get censored and they're going to kick us offline. So let's do it anyway. Talk to me about your experience with the college and just why do you think it is so imperative? It's a one agenda theater with them. You know what I mean? Like what's with all of the punishing of people with different opinions and speaking?
Just from watching Erin's video, I just watched that recently, which I was just blown away that even that just didn't wake up a lot more people because the footage she had, her audio and video, it was just mind blowing. But oh, where was I going to go with that? I lost my train of thought. Oh, I lost it. Yeah, probably. Oh, that's where I was going. So just with the oh goodness, no, I lost it again. Somebody else, go ahead. If I figure it out, I'll go back on.
Don't worry, Desiree. I always lose my train of thought.
It happens to all of us.
Well, I can talk a little bit about college. Obviously, they're part of the narrative. They're connected to, we have proof of them, how they're connected to the World Health Organization, through the International Nursing Association. So we're part of the agenda, obviously. It's been like that for a decade.
Yeah, big guys and
I remember.
Well, I want to congratulate Kristen on her introduction into the textbook. So she's the talking points. You've now been Wakefielded, and I'm so proud of you. It means you've made it.
Yeah, now the firefighters are using that. In Toronto are using that as an example too of what not to do. So I'm in 2 different schools, and now the firefighters are using me as an example of what not to do. And it's yeah.
Don't tell the truth like her. Don't do it.
Yeah. I think I'll just share quick. I think we're all under investigation. At least 4 of us are.
Okay.
And just this is not my first time with the college. 2 years ago, I was actually on maternity leave with my youngest son, and I was sharing information about holistic health, how to support your child's fever, baby's first foods, things like people don't know catnip is part of the mint family, and it's really good for fevers. It's a diaphoretic, and it's an awesome way to sweat it out. Like these things that people don't know. And then I was sharing, things about immunizations and just educating what's in them and whatever. Because whenever I learn something, I dive deep into it and try to get all the information I know. And once I know, it's like, well, I can't not share this. I didn't know this before. We weren't taught this in nursing school, so I need to get it out. So I've already been in trouble at the college 2 years ago for sharing this kind of information about holistic health. And much like Nordia, I was told, don't do it again. I'm confusing the public. I'm wrong, and I had to stop posting. But when all this started with Rona, I was like, this is too much. This is something I cannot be silent about. And I just went full in, fully knowing where it was going to go. And I have no regrets, because this information needs to get out, and we are being censored and silenced and bullied and coerced at a disgusting level, really. Informed consent is gone from the hospitals. I mean, this is for years now. For years, I work with babies, and we're not allowed to provide informed consent for their first immunizations that they're going to receive in the unit. It's just, this is what you do. And if a mother were to, or a parent were to deny such immunizations, they call a doctor. They're like, no, you need to speak to a doctor. It's like they need to basically get bullied into getting it. And then if they don't, you get you have to sign something against medical advice or whatever. And there's no informed consent. There's no medical transparency. There's no freedom, medical freedom anymore. It is one narrative only. It is the allopathic medicine way, and that is it. Anything else, we're seeing this happening now, is totally censored, totally silenced, and you're turned into conspiracy theories or quacks just because you want to avoid putting poisons into your body.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I'll let Crystal has her own story with it too. So I'll let Crystal jump in.
Well, and all I think I really wanted to add is that how ironic is it that the college exists to protect the public? And we're invested in protecting the public too, which is why we're speaking out so boldly and courageously and sharing the truth and ensuring that we are adhering to the standards of practice, which include providing all of the available evidence-based research to support certain views. At this point, we know it's all one-sided. It's all a specific narrative, and everything else gets censored. So they are violating their own standards. They are, as Kristen said, interfering with, patients and the public having being able to make informed decisions and having informed consent about whether or not they're going to participate in certain treatments. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to see this, but as Sarah spoke earlier, this has been going on for a very long time. And that's why I slowly over time just kind of inched away from frontline clinical care, because you're censored. You can't share anything that's actual fact anymore. And it's not about, trying to coerce somebody into taking a certain view. It's about sharing all of the information and allowing them to make the best decision for them. Right? In terms of, but you can't do that if you're being prevented from having all the information before you.
Awesome. Jess, did you have something to add?
Oh yeah, so I'm one of the nurses that haven't gotten in trouble just yet. I'm waiting actually for that. I did have one of my friends who's a nurse who messaged me and told me that I should be careful about what I'm posting because I could get in trouble with the college. And I had another nurse who I was talking to about vaccinations. Well, sorry, about the jab, about this particular one. And she goes, "You need to be careful about what you're saying here because you could get in trouble." And I just and when I open, I love seeing, for me personally, I love seeing both sides to any story. I'm very open and I'm very open to discussion and I love learning. So if somebody's gonna tell me that this jab is good, I want to know why. And if they're gonna tell me that no, we shouldn't be taking it, there's certain risks we should look into, I'd want to know why as well. So right from the beginning, I knew this was all propaganda and this wasn't about a virus. But with time, I realized, especially working at the hospital, I was like, oh my God, we can't speak. If I have an opposite opinion, I can't speak. And why is it so hard to just open that discussion? Why can't we, as fellow nurses, as colleagues, why can't we have that open discussion? Why is it wrong for me to say that this isn't a vaccine? If you look up the definition of a vaccine, it says it's an attenuated or killed form of the virus. This new injection that they've come out with does not meet that definition. So why can't I'm not even allowed to express that, like just like the basic, and just to open that conversation, or else I'm going to get in trouble. Why am I going to get in trouble? I have a hard time wrapping my head around it. As nurses, and oh my goodness, like the whole 3 years of nursing, we were drilled, you need to ask questions. You need to keep yourself informed. This is my way of asking questions. This is my way of being informed. Why can't I respect my ethics and tell my patient, look, there are serious risks with this injection. There haven't been any studies. Nope. They're going to say, no, Jess, you're wrong. You're wrong. You can't talk like that. Why can't I talk like that? Why can't we just have an open discussion? Why is it so bad to have an open discussion? So I find that very extremely difficult to deal with inside the hospital and outside the hospital with people who are just so
it's very
minded and really thinking that the government has our best interests. They don't.
Well, and being on the side of health freedom that I have been for 7 years now, I have to say, that's all we've been begging for is an open discussion. And if you can't have an open discussion, then let's have a live debate. You bring your people, we'll bring our people, and we'll do it unedited for the world to see. And guess which side never shows up? It's the safe and effective side every single time. Why is that? We show up, our butts are in those seats, the cameras are ready to roll, and we're always there every single time.
And I think if we don't have open discussion, if we don't ask these questions, and they're not showing up, that's just dictatorship. And I feel everyone, no matter what side you're on, should be very concerned that freedom of speech is becoming no more. That is terrifying because that is a slippery slope to go on. And I know the one side thinks that they're just getting rid of, the conspiracy theories and the misinformation and the blah, blah, blah. But where does that end? And then what's next to go? And what's next to go? We've seen this repeat in history. And what is healthy that Jessica brought up is to have debates, to have discussions, to look at both sides, to be like, okay, I want to know all of that. Okay, I want to know all of that, and make your decision, right? Like that's what science is. That's what growth is. That's how you do better. That's how you continue to improve and learn and move forward, is understanding all aspects of it. And if you remove one side, that's just control, and that's just dictatorship, and you're losing free will, free speech, choice, all of it. I mean, you should be free to believe in whatever you want on either aspect. So this is a very, very dangerous slope where this is going, and all aspects of whatever side you're on should be very concerned about where this is going, especially with this bill. As I get them both mixed up right now, I think it's C10. the internet censorship right now. Yep. Everyone should be very concerned about that. Doesn't matter what side you're on. That affects everybody.
Absolutely.
Thanks for saying that. So here's kind of a nutty question, but I'm going to ask this because it comes up every time with some of the trolls out here. How much money are you ladies making for speaking out?
0.
What?
Is that a for real question?
For real? For $0?
That's so annoying. That's so
I know
annoying.
it
It's like
I know.
you ask people, you're like, this person said so. Oh, that's a whistleblower. Well, what is a whistleblower? Someone who, I'm like, people think, well, a whistleblower, like what? Do they get paid under the table? I don't know. Like, to me, the way I see it, and all of us who are whistleblowers, we have everything to lose and nothing to gain. Like, I've lost 2 jobs. Our licenses are under investigation, right? Most of our families and friends don't want nothing to do with us. I mean, we've been threatened to death. Like, I'm a single mom. It kind of, like, you know, it became kind of scary. Like, so why would we do that? Is because we have integrity is the only thing I can say. And, you know, we haven't sold our soul yet. You know what I mean? Like, what else is there? I mean, I don't know. Somebody told me.
That's right. And if you're willing to put everything on the line like that, there's obviously going to be some, you know, very valid reasons for why you're doing so, especially when you've been to school for a really long time. Why would anybody just, you know, haphazardly throw that away if they didn't really believe in what they were doing and saying? I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever. And going back to what Kristen was saying before too, it's like, where's the evidence to support what they're trying to roll out? Where is the evidence? We've been asking since the onset of this, what is your evidence for these measures? And to date, they haven't been able to provide any evidence. So rather than it being, you need to, you know, provide us with evidence as to why it is that you're saying that, and they're really not even asking for it, they're just silencing us. The onus should be on them to provide the evidence to show us that what's being rolled out actually is supported by research, is beneficial to the public and to patients, and also is not causing harm. And I promise you, they won't have that evidence. They don't, and they won't, because we have evidence to the contrary.
It's coming.
That's why I think it's really funny. It's like,
it's coming.
Yes. Don't you guys feel like, how can we all be called? And I know we've all been called this. We've all been called anti-science. Like, but it just makes me laugh because it's like, how can we be anti-science when there's like no science to go against? So what are we anti? Like, I don't actually get it. It's baffling to me.
I'm anti-mainstream at this point. Like, I
think it's really funny because the CNO.
You're cutting out.
Something I think is really funny is our investigation, right? Because they're investigating us, and it was like 5. Like, it was like they send us back everything we put on social media that shows the science, and you know what I mean. So basically, they sent us that back, and it was like a call. Like, they stuck everything together. I was like, what kind of investigation is this? And I was like, they sent us back the evidence, and they want us to show them the evidence. And I'm like, wow, like, what's going on?
Well, and in my world, here's where it goes with this. Okay. So they're like, you're not a nurse. You're not a doctor. What do you got? So you send them the CDC study. Well, you know, that's just maybe here, maybe there. They won't read it. So then you send them the meme and it's like, well, that's not the study. Well, I sent you the study already. So which one are you going to take? Really? Come on. We're not going there today. Okay.
I just want to say, I'm a mother of 4. I went back to school for nursing as a mother of 4 and graduated with honors because I wanted so badly to be a nurse. I couldn't wait to be a nurse. And now I'm out here trying to scream from the top of the rooftops and let people know what's going on. And I'm being written off by family and friends as crazy. I just graduated last year and worked my butt off. And now all of a sudden people seem to think that I'm just throwing that all away just because, like you said, am I getting paid under the table? Because nobody's let me know about that just yet. So I've got friends and family who I just want them to be aware and see some of the science, some of the many things that I found that are being censored and that are, doctors, scientists, all these really smart people, even from around here, that have so much to say. And when I send these to people, I'm just told I'm a conspiracy theorist. So I don't know why, if it's any doctors that aren't being paid the big bucks to be on the MSN or MSM to say these things, why all of a sudden, why are they less trustworthy in so many eyes? I can't wrap my head around that. I don't know.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, Desiree. I don't have 4 kids, but for me it was a career change. And when I decided to go into nursing school, I went in like full on passion, and I was like, I can't wait to start my nursing career. And the second I entered, I was like, why am I here? Like, there's nothing ethical going on. They're not respecting any ethics working in the hospital. I've noticed so much stuff going on. And when I do bring it up, I'm just a conspiracy theorist. And when I had a conversation with a nurse the other night, she's like, if you say what I think you're about to say, she's like, you're just too much into conspiracy. And I'm like, why is it conspiracy? I was like, last year, everyone was calling the conspiracy theorists, no, there's not going to be a vaccine passport. You guys are crazy. And now look, there's a vaccine passport and everyone's normalizing it. Why is it becoming normal? Everything that we have mentioned up to date was like, you guys are crazy. You guys are not good nurses. You don't know what you're talking about. And now everything's come true and it's just going to get worse from here. And everyone's just like, no, it's normal. It's because, we want to get to normal later. It's not going to be like that. And people, it's frustrating. It's frustrating.
And in the majority of cases, history has shown us that, a lot of times conspiracy theories end up actually being proven true. The majority of them do. So, yeah. And it was a term that was coined by the CIA to deflect attention away from the JFK assassination. So, yeah, I mean, wear it proudly.
Wear it proudly. I do. We call it conspiracy realist around here at this point because I'm tired of being right. I don't want to be right. And I'm tired of it. So, and like I said, you ladies are heroes in my book. And all y'all need to put a book together with each of your little chapters and sell that and make some money there and start up your own medical schools. Because the world needs more truth tellers and more people with morals. And yeah, you know where I'm going with this. I'll just keep repeating it every time I get on here. But is there anything you ladies would like to say before we kick off here?
I remembered what I was going to say earlier and why I was mentioning Erin's video. I was just going to say when she was talking to one of the doctors about why they're doing this, they said that it's coming down from the top. And that's the exact same thing with our college. It's coming down from the top, and those people at the top shouldn't have a say what goes on in our hospitals because they're not the ones that are there dealing with it and living it and working in it, and they shouldn't have a say. It shouldn't have anything to do with them. So the fact that doctors are just going ahead and just doing whatever comes down from the top and not questioning it, that's really disappointing. And I wish that more people would come forward and that we could all just kind of get together and change things and make things the way they should be.
Amen to that. Amen to that. They're so far removed from an actual human being at this point and what those human beings need, that they're making decisions based on models that are completely inaccurate and full of crap and just fear-based, right? So thank you, ladies. Does anybody have anything they want to say before we
want to leave a book right now for you guys too? It's interesting. I love reading books. I'm actually going to get it right now.
Awesome.
I want to add something before we leave.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to talk about our initiatives with Canadian Frontline Nurses. Would that be a good time to do that?
Absolutely would.
Okay, so we have Professionals Against Lockdowns. Oh God, what's that, Kristen?
Oh, I have that.
I got distracted. Oh, it's a book. I thought it was a box of masks. I'm like, what is she holding? I'm like, they all have it.
Oh, nice. But that was fun. It was this one. Lies my doctor told me.
Oh.
Oh,
amazing.
medical. What does it say underneath, Nordia? Medical myths that.
That can harm your health. So, oh yes, I have that one too, Kristen.
Oh yes, I want all of those.
Yeah, that one is good.
Take a
Yeah.
screenshot of all those books.
Yes. Sorry, Sarah.
Yeah.
Cut you
Oh
off
no,
with the
it's
butcher.
okay. It's okay, no problem. So we have initiatives. Obviously, we have professionals against lockdowns, but that's new initiatives to talk about that people can join. Well, people can join professionals against lockdowns. You can go to our website, and all our initiatives are there. So the 3 things I'm going to talk about are all there. But professionals against lockdowns, we actually on Saturday we were talking about teachers and kids and students. So it's their protest. We're going to do it at the Ministry of Education. There's like come teachers, parents, kids, students. We would love everybody to be there. But also I wanted to say we're looking for people for the 2 other initiatives. So Stand for Seniors, for anyone who's interested to help, free our seniors from nursing homes. We're trying to get families to get their rights back. Power of attorneys are not being respected. People have been separated for over a year and can't see their loved ones, and detrimental. So obviously we're working there. So you can obviously reach us at our website or email us at cfln@protonmail.com. But also we have a new initiatives coming, and we want to do a mental health movement. And so I've kind of spoke about it already, and I'm looking for leaders. And so I already have like 16 people, and I just came back from the gym, Huff Gym, that's open. And the lady, the owner, like
She's awesome.
hyped up. So we want to get people together. We want to do Zoom meetings, maybe to support people with mental health. We're not sure what we want to do yet, but we've organized a team. So if anyone is interested, please contact us about that. And to the public, well, it's coming, and hopefully we can help a lot of people and change this thing around.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So my battery's low. Oh goodness. Okay. Just to kind of wrap it up, how many nurses do you have behind the scenes now, ladies? I know there's a lot more than on the screen here today, and
Yeah, there's several hundred. I don't know. I think we're moving into probably over 3. I think so.
Say that number again.
Like 300.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds
Many more
across
coming
Canada
every day, right?
Yeah.
Many more.
And I think that's what I wanted to. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to end on. Just, I know that it can be incredibly scary speaking out and coming forward, but the more of us that do, the more that we can bring light to this and actually end this, and know that we all are supported and protected and on the right side of history.
Right.
Nuremberg Code was there for a reason. If you watch that documentary, The Killing Nurses, just, pick the side you want to be on. And I know we picked our side. I know Nordia and Jessica just spoke out this past weekend for the first time, and they were on fire. So just so liberated. I know that as scary as it is, I think I can speak for this group that it feels so good knowing that we are on the right side and that we are, making a change and are changing history, and we are, paving the way. So we also have a class action lawsuit that we're going against the College of Nurses of Ontario. And I think Nordia and Jessica are looking at creating a Quebec one, and we are going to try and make this precedent across Canada and go after the regulatory bodies and our employers. So we're going to be doing that as well, as we also kind of, move and start creating our own change. You can only put so much energy into fighting a system that you no longer want to be a part. It's time to create something new. That system was created on corruption back from the Rockefellers back in the early 1900s. It's time to start over, and that's what we're doing. So please reach out to us, CanadianFrontlineNurses.ca. Know that you're supported, you're protected, and there is a massive, growing army that is on the side.
Army. There's more than they want you to know about, friends. There is a lot of nurses with a big backbone that is fantastic. So my computer's going to die. I'm not even sure why. I'm sure it was fully charged when we started, so I have no idea.
Does Jessica have time to say something? I keep pointing the wrong way because the camera, I'm trying to point. She put her hand up. I know.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, it was just to thank Kristen and Sarah for creating the Canadian Frontline Nurses, and Amanda for your time. I know you're always super crazy busy interviewing people, and just like thank you to like all the nurses that have spoken up to date. It's super inspiring, and it's great to be part of them. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you all for being here. So you can reach out to CanadianFrontlineNurses.ca. They're on Instagram, they are online, they're on Facebook, they are everywhere. They will keep your messages anonymous if you require. And there isn't a better group out there. So, reach out if you're fighting your conscience, finding your morals again and whatnot. The more the merrier, obviously. Other than that, tomorrow, Thursday, we have a press release. You can watch that at Wholehearted Media, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, regarding the court challenge defending the rights of children. So catch that tomorrow. I'll be there with Rocco Galati and Christine Kolbeck, and that will be wholeheartedmedia.ca. Friday, we have the Freedom for Truth conference at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 5 Pacific. We have Dr. Robert Scott Bell, Dr. Tommy John, David Avocado Wolf, and Lori Ladd joining us. So it's going to be uplifting. It will recharge you. It'll give you hope and push you forward again. Thefreedomorg.ca, you can catch it there. And you just hit join the call. You can catch it on our YouTube. You can catch it on our Facebook page. As well, what I want to push is poll number 4. Poll number 4 will be coming out at the same time on Friday. We need you guys to spread that far and wide. The Ipsos poll came out. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Ipsos poll came out. And what a joke that was. So what we did find out, Ipsos survey is part of the Ipsos Mori Group. It's partnered with the Imperial College in London, and they're invested in home testing kits. Ipsos Mori translates from Latin into "they die," but I'm sure that's another conspiracy for another day. Anyways, you want to click the Ipsos survey in the article. It will take you to the World Economic Forum. Again, another conspiracy I'm sure I'm spewing. So we'll end with that. My computer's going to die. I love you all. Thank you for coming. I hope we'll do this again when you guys have updates anytime you need. I'm here. It's all for you.
Thanks, ladies.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Okay.
Is it?
Thanks, Amanda.
You are so welcome. It's not ending yet.
Oh, no, it's not.